mainly in linguistic typology. This is the linguistic discipline that is primarily interested in linguistic diversity and how languages can vary in various respects and what are the limits of this variation. So what I do is to compare various phenomena across languages of the world or across languages of one particular continent and try to figure out how these phenomena can vary across the languages and whether there are any general patterns in this variation and how we can explain it or approach it. And so I'm not a specialist in one particular language or in one particular family. I have this broader perspective, and of course sometimes it's a little bit superficial, but by looking at many languages from different parts of the world, you can really sometimes, or very often, discover patterns that are not visible if you just focus on one or two languages, especially if these languages are closely related. So this is what I do. Here in Paris, I am giving 4 seminars, and I have chosen to focus on one particular subdiscipline within linguistic typology, which is called lexical typology. So I am interested in the comparison of words and dictionaries or vocabularies across languages. And the idea is to understand how different languages package the same semantic material differently. So just to give you an example, in some languages there will be one and the same word for finger and toe or hand and arm. In other languages there will be different words. So this kind of cross-linguistic variation is fairly interesting because you just take it for granted that languages will partition the same piece of reality or the same semantic domain in the same way, but they don't do it. So regularities in how different languages conceptualize particular semantic domains or reality. And there are lots of interesting things here because we can look at this from this perspective, well, how you partition this particular domain, how you carve up this part of reality among different words and lexical expressions, but you can also think about the different meanings that can be combined in one and the same word. So in some languages, mother and aunt will be the same word. In other languages, there will be many different words for aunt. In some languages, mother will also mean main, so you can talk about the mother street, which will be the main street. But in other languages, it won't do that. So these kinds of things. And there are all kinds of fascinating topics there. So synchronically, but also how languages develop and how these patterns can give us a window on the prehistory of the mankind and various factors that can influence our languages and how we think about rest. Oh, it's a great pleasure to be back to Paris. I've been here many times, and I have very close relations with some of the colleagues, in particular at Lacan, where I spend my days when I work. So it's great to be here because, as I've said, I'm not a specialist in one particular language, so it's material that I get by talking with people, checking grammars and dictionaries and all these things. And my colleagues here are field workers, so they are knowledgeable in another way than I am, and it's very exciting and it's very fruitful to talk to them, and they are very nice people. But then also I meet new people now. I've just come here after a summer school that was organized by Labex, and well, I was also one of the organizers in Provence, where we had students and doctoral students and some other colleagues from CNRS, from Paris, and it's very fruitful. It's very interesting. So I'm I'm very pleased. And then, of course, Paris is Paris, so there are lots of things to do here.